Okay, so you probably don't spend your morning commute pondering metal alloys. But here's a bit of a mind bender. These things called ferroalloys, they're kind of, well, silently underpinning a massive chunk of our modern world. Think skyscrapers, cars, even the tech in your pocket. They all rely on these unsung heroes.
Absolutely.
Today, we're diving headfirst into a report looking ahead, forecasting the ferroalloy market for 2025. Our mission really is simple. Pull out the key insights, understand what's fueling this surprisingly large industry and why its trends matter, to all of us.
Yeah.
We're looking at market analysis, industry news, that sort of thing.
Okay, so picture steel, right? It's the backbone of so much. Infrastructure, manufacturing.
Yeah, everywhere.
Now imagine adding specific ingredients to that iron base. Things like manganese, silicon, chromium. That's basically what ferroalloys are. These additions, they act like superpowers for steel.
Superpowers are like that.
Yeah, they make it tougher, more resistant to wear, less likely to rust. They're the secret sauce, really.
The secret sauce.
Definitely. Let steel perform in all sorts of demanding jobs.
And this report, it really drives home the scale of this market. We're talking for 2025, an estimated global market size of USD 62.84 billion. Pretty hefty.
That's substantial.
But hold on to your hats, because the projection shows some serious growth. It's expected to nearly double to USD 124.30 billion by 2033.
Wow.
That's with a CAGR, an average annual growth rate of 8.90% starting from 2025. That kind of jump isn't just numbers. It signals some, significant shifts happening.
And what's really interesting here is the engine behind it all, global steel production.
Right.
Ferroalloys are absolutely vital in making steel. So as the world needs more steel, demand for these additives just goes up.
Makes sense.
Think about it. All the rapid urbanization globally, massive infrastructure projects, the ever-expanding car industry, countless industrial uses, they all need huge amounts of steel.
And more steel means?
More steel means a greater need for ferroalloys to give that steel the right properties.
Right. And it's not just like standard building steel either, is it?
Yeah, exactly.
The report points to this rising demand for what they call specialty ferroalloys. These are things like ferrotitanium, ferronickel, ferrovanadium. Sounds a bit sci-fi, but their uses are very much cutting-edge tech.
Precisely.
Yeah.
And that brings up a really good point. Why the increased hunger for these specialty types?
Yeah, what's driving that?
Well, the key is the growth in advanced manufacturing. Think sectors like aerospace, defense, and the booming renewable energy industry. These fields need materials that can handle extreme conditions. Incredible heat resistance, maybe, or exceptional tensile strength.
Okay.
We're also seeing the impact of trends like, electric vehicles.
AVs.
They need advanced battery tech, lighter but stronger materials. Even 3D printing in manufacturing is playing a role. They all rely on these high-performance alloys.
So an example.
Well, take titanium. Added to steel, you get ferrotitanium. It creates a material that's incredibly strong, but also remarkably light.
Which is perfect for
building more fuel-efficient planes or really robust wind turbines, things like that.
Gotcha. So this is clearly a global picture, but the report breaks it down regionally, and it's definitely not the same everywhere. Let's start with North America.
Okay.
They're projected to have the biggest slice in 2025, over 40%. That works out to around USD 11.88 billion.
That's dominant.
Yeah, and with solid average growth, 7.1% annual between 2025 and 2033. What's behind that strong position?
Well, North America has a really well-established steel industry, plus mature infrastructure and, significant demand from automotive and aerospace.
And within North America.
If you zoom in, the U.S. market is huge, estimated at USD 9.37 billion in 2025, growing at 6.9% annually. Canada's market is about USD 1.43 billion, but with a zippier growth rate of 7.9%. That's getting a boost from EV supply chain investments.
Interesting.
And Mexico contributes about USD 1.08 billion, growing at 7.6% annually, so all three play a key role.
Okay, let's hop over the Atlantic. Europe. Their share in 2025 is over 30%, so USD 9.55 billion. But their growth is a bit more moderate, projected at 6.3% average. What's the story there?
Europe's long industrial history still makes it a major consumer. If you look at specific countries, the UK has a USD 1.60 billion market, growing at 7.1%. Part of that is linked to more use of electric arc furnaces in steel making. They're a bit more modern, potentially more energy efficient.
Right, EAFs.
Exactly. Then Germany, the biggest in Europe at USD 1.89 billion, growing at 6.5%. That's influenced by strict EU rules pushing for energy efficiency and lower emissions.
Makes sense.
And France, about USD 878 million market, 5.5% growth, also a key part of the European picture.
Okay, now the region the report flags as having the fastest growth, Asia Pacific.
Yeah, that's where the action really picks up pace.
They've got about 23% market share in 2025, valued at USD 37.70 billion, but their average annual growth is a blistering 9.9%. That's quite a difference.
It really is. The Asia-Pacific region is just, well, a hotbed of industrial activity. Rapid urbanization, massive steel production increases, especially in places like China and India.
China's driving a lot of that.
Absolutely. China's huge infrastructure projects.
Right.
I mean, just the scale of their building initiatives are a major demand driver. Their market is USD 15.84 billion in 2025, growing at 9.4% annually.
And India.
India's market is smaller, USD 3.77 billion, but look at the growth rate, an impressive 11.8% annually. Right. Japan's more mature, but still healthy. USD 5.2 billion market, 8.4% growth. But the one that really jumps out is South Korea.
Yeah, I saw that number.
Projected 99% annual growth,
right,
with a USD 4.52 billion market in 2025.
99%, that seems extraordinary.
It is remarkable. It really underscores the dynamism there. The report likely puts it down to major expansions in their automotive and advanced manufacturing sectors.
Needs looking into that figure.
Definitely makes you want to dig into the specifics behind that claim.
Absolutely. Really highlights how specific industries can just cause explosive growth in a region. Okay, let's quickly cover the other areas. South America, over 5% share, USD 1.38 billion in 2025, growing at 8.9%. Brazil and Argentina showing strong progress, mining, metallurgy, infrastructure investments. Middle East, around 2%, USD 1.26 billion, but rapid growth at 10.5%. Saudi Arabia, UAE leading there.
High growth rates there too.
And Africa, about 1% share, USD 1.07 billion, growing at 10.1%. South Africa and Nigeria are key players, again, infrastructure driving it. So truly global, but very different stories unfolding region by region.
Exactly right. And the report also slices the market by the type of ferroalloy. It highlights that bulk alloys, these are the workhorses like ferromanganese, ferrosilicon, ferrochrome, they dominate the market right now.
Which makes sense, given how much steel is produced.
Exactly. They're essential for mainstream steel production.
But like we touched on with those high-tech uses, the report also points out that noble alloys are the fastest growing segment.
That's right. The more specialized ones like ferrovanadium, ferrotitanium.
And that connects back to?
Directly to the increasing demand for those high-performance materials in advanced industries.
Okay. And what about how they're used? The applications?
Well, no big surprise here. The steel industry is the biggest consumer by far, over 80% of all ferroalloy use.
Still the giant.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
However, the segment for superalloys and alloys, excluding steel, is seeing really rapid growth.
Driven by
those expanding needs in aerospace, automotive, and energy sectors, all those areas needing materials with, exceptional properties.
So we've got the size, the growth, the drivers, the regional picture, the applications. What are some of the key trends shaping this market looking ahead? We mentioned specialty alloys already.
That's definitely a huge ongoing trend, yeah, this appetite for high-performance specialized ferroalloys. But another really significant one the report highlights is the growing focus on sustainable and energy-efficient production.
Sustainability,
Okay.
of course.
Yeah, making ferroalloys can be pretty energy intensive. So there's a real push towards using renewable energy sources. We're even seeing examples like Glencore's Roven solar plant in South Africa helping power their operations.
That's interesting.
There's also focus on carbon capture tech, developing more energy efficient smelting processes. And recycling is becoming more important too.
Recycling ferroalloys.
Well, using the byproducts like ferroalloy slag in things like cement production helps reduce waste.
Clever. That sustainability push feels critical everywhere now.
Yeah.
But are there potential roadblocks, things that might slow this growth down?
Yes, the report points out a couple of key challenges. Fluctuating raw material prices are a big one.
Always an issue with commodities.
Exactly. And disruptions in the global supply chain. The cost and availability of the base metals needed can be really volatile. Think geopolitical events, mining regulations changing, trade policies.
Yeah, lots of variables.
Plus, just logistical hurdles. Getting these materials where they need to go can be tricky, adds unpredictability.
Makes perfect sense in today's world.
Yeah.
Okay, finally, who are the big players? What's the competitive landscape like?
It's described as pretty competitive. The leading companies are really focusing on innovation, new alloys, better production techniques, also cost optimization, obviously.
And sustainability now, too.
And increasingly, yes, investing in sustainability. We're seeing strategic moves like mergers and acquisitions, Tata Steel acquiring Stork Ferro's assets, for example, and big investments in lower carbon production like ArcelorMittal working with Turok Technologies.
So who are some of these top companies?
The report mentions global giants like Glencore, Salmoncore Chrome, Tata Steel, ArcelorMittal, China Minmetals. It's a dynamic field, well-established players constantly adapting.
Okay, so wrapping this up. This deep dive into the 2025 Ferroalloy Market report shows us, well, a huge global industry is set for really significant growth, driven fundamentally by steel, but also increasingly by demand for advanced specialty alloys. We've seen how growth varies a lot by region Asia-Pacific, setting that blistering pace. Bulk alloys dominate now, but noble alloys are growing fastest.
Yeah.
Steel is the main customer, but high-tech sectors are gaining ground. And crucially, that big push towards sustainability, even while dealing with challenges like prices and supply chains.
Exactly. And, when you think about it, these materials, they seem industrial, maybe a bit obscure.
Yeah, maybe.
But they're so deeply woven into our daily lives. The buildings we're in, the cars we drive, the tech we use, the trends in this ferroalloy market, they really mirror the broader shifts in the global economy and in technology.
That's a great point.
It really makes you think about the specific jobs these different alloys do and how advancements will keep shaping this really vital industry.